Welcome to the Joyfulicity podcast. I'm your host, Laura Wakefield, and it's my privilege today to have as my guest, Rechelle Conde-Nau. She is a blogger and podcaster herself at the Unabashed You podcast, and I had the privilege of being a guest on her podcast, and I'm so thrilled that she has agreed to come and be here on mine. She's also a coach, and her basic premise is helping people discover who they already are.
Yes.
And I love that so much. So welcome, Rechelle. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's so wonderful to say yes to this invitation. I feel like it's another opportunity for women to uplift women, not just as a podcast host and guest, but also in general. I feel like we do so much better when we work together.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. So where did you come up with this concept of living as the unabashed you and discovering who you already are? Usually people have kind of a source where their passion first came from. Where did that?
Right. And I think like a lot of people, I could sort of look back and see sort of multiple things that led me to that place. But I had gone through a particularly hard season with a child, and then also with a friend, and I sort of came out of that just deeply wounded, and I let myself feel all those feels. And then when I was ready to kind of come out, I said, okay, so I just had this big talk with myself. What is it that I really value? Kind of like my 3 core values. And I just came up with that myself, and I thought about it, and I said, I need to be authentic, transparent, and vulnerable. And those were, I just like grabbed them and claimed them. And I was like, okay. And the people in my life, I'm pulled to people who feel that same. So I'm not as pulled to people who are, really perfect seeming or really polished. I'd rather get into the raw and the nitty gritty. And of course, there's all kinds of time to get dressed up and look pretty and all those things. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I'd rather get on and say, hey, I've had a crappy day. And can you relate? You know what I mean? I mean, that's being real to me. And I want to be around people who feel that same way. And I think that's probably one of the reasons that you and I, drew to each other, was that same kind of, sort of you develop. I mean, it's your core values, and obviously there are others, but those are really primary. But then you are drawn to people who have who present those same qualities.
And you tend to bring those people into your life. They manifest when you start really living into those principles. Those people suddenly show up all around you.
Yes, absolutely. That's true. That's absolutely true. And I've discovered that not just in my personal life, but because I think the people that know me well, my people, know that already about me. And then, the people I was connecting with on Instagram had that same kind of mindset, I'll call it.
Absolutely. And I actually wrote down those 3 things from your website and was going to ask you, can you elaborate a little bit more on what those words mean to you? Like, what does it mean to be authentic in your view, and transparent and vulnerable?
Okay, so authentic means it's that become who you already are. It's that idea that, particularly as women, and obviously being a woman, I feel like I can speak more into that place. And also the fact that I'm on the back end of life. I feel like I spent way too much time sort of shrinking into who I was and not feeling comfortable and confident with that. And I think I recognize that in other women as well. Even young girls start to get that message of, all the different messages we get. And I just feel like I want us as women in particular, men too, but I speak more into that side of things, is to really, sort of break free and learn how to. You can't get rid of your fears. I mean, that's unrealistic, but you can learn through some strategies and tools that you can kind of bring that down. I think of it as tipping the scale so that the confidence can come up. So if you can learn how to kind of keep the fear down, then the confidence has room to grow. And then you can feel more at ease and feel more comfortable, who you become who you already are. So if you are playful, like you are so playful on your posts on Instagram, that's clearly something that you are, and you don't shy away from it. You don't say, oh no, I can't do that because what will people think? And you know what I mean? All those things that we tell ourselves. That you reached a point where you said, well, you know what? I am just not going to care because this is who I am. So since I am playful, I'm going to show up playful. So whoever you are, be that. And that's where the authentic part comes in. And that's where, yes, please discover who you are, because I really think that a lot of us do not take enough time to figure out who we are. We just kind of glide through life. And you can get by and all that, and you can reach the end and go, well, wait a minute, but then sadly you're out of time. But why not somewhere along the way go, well, yeah, I've noticed that about myself. Or if you do particular like assessments that are available on the internet, I would say my two favorites. We did a whole series in October, Explore More of You. And I would say the Enneagram was one of the ones that I particularly had known some about and learned more about through doing that. And then the other one would be, Myers-Briggs, or there's one that's a free version. They don't call it Myers-Briggs, but it's basically the same thing, 16 personalities. And there's something about seeing these words and going, oh, yes, I am that. And feeling kind of like, you can kind of sit up a little bit taller. And even on the, I don't like the word weaknesses. I don't like it, but, and I can't right now think of a good word. You need to embrace the flip side as well. If it turns out you're prone to resentment because of your personality type, you can be aware of that and not like, oh no, I can't be that anymore, but just like notice when it comes up. Yeah. In fact, I the other morning, I felt myself being resentful, and I went, yeah, I am prone to that. So just kind of sitting in it for a minute going, yeah, I am prone to that, but I don't have to stay there. I can notice it, and then I can continue on my day and not be afraid by that having been my reaction, because the way my personality shows up, that is one of the ways, because you got to balance it all out. You can't just be all the good things. You've got these other things that are, I like more the word challenges than the word weakness. So it's when the resentment comes up, it's like, oh yeah, that's okay, that's right, I okay, yes. And then it might have a little self-talk, and then I can move on. I don't have to stay there or feed it or wallow in it. Recognize it, accept it, process it, and move on.
But I love that, because I think that in today's world with social media and all of that, a lot of us are living very curated lives. We're presenting only the positives because you can, you can create a profile, you can use a bunch of filters, and you can just put the good stuff in there. And it starts to feel, looking at everybody else's profiles, like that's all there is all this good stuff. And so we start to hide those negatives. And when you finally just start to put it out there, not only is it very freeing for you, because then it's like, who's going to criticize you? I already outed myself as that problem. I already said I have that problem. But also I find that it gives other people permission.
Yes.
To show up that way too.
Yes.
They're not afraid that they have to be perfect with you.
Yes. I think permission is key in a lot of these different areas to reach a point of saying, yes, I give myself permission to feel that feeling, to understand I'm bent that way. And permission also, like you say, to show up on social media and say, again, back to the crappy day, whatever. And honestly, people are going to be drawn particularly the people that for which they also hold those values dear,
Right.
they're going to be drawn to that, like, oh, Laura had a bad day, oh, I'm so sorry, and just type a little, oh, hopefully tomorrow's better, or yeah, I get it, me too, or whatever it is that you want to comment about. But I think you're more drawn to, so it's like you understand, oh yeah, they're not so perfect. Because come on, if we all went to professional hairstylist, a professional makeup artist, we had professional lighting, professional sound equipment. I mean, we all could do an amazing layout, right? Of
Right.
photos. I mean, it's done all the time, but that's not real. It's fun and there's a place for that, but that's not the whole thing at all. That's
Exactly.
not at all.
That's not all of it. And I liked what you said about balance, that, I don't necessarily want to be out there every day putting all negative out there,
No.
because that can be kind of hard to absorb too. But just letting people know that we have good days, we have bad days, we have challenges, we've also got strengths, and stepping into our strengths and owning those too,
Right,
is important. Just all of the aspects of who we are.
well, and getting back to the definition of authentic is, I think it's being real. So yes, when you're having the good days, great, you're having good days. And when you notice something and it's a little bit of a downer, I wouldn't shy away from that. I mean, I've been talking a lot on Instagram about sort of, I view the fear and confidence as opposite of each other, right? So there's a lot of things that we do as women that would start from a very young age, that we doubt ourselves, we're insecure, we feel less than, we start feeling more invisible as we age, we it goes on and on. Comparison, like you talked about, comparing ourselves, we're people pleasers, or if we actually do something good, we're like, I must be an imposter. That can't,
Oh, yes.
that can't, oh no, I'm not a podcaster, I'm not a, you all that self-doubt. And that's really the place I want to speak into. Like, whoever you are, be a good one.
I love that. And I have here, one of the questions that you pose on your website is, who would you be if you weren't afraid?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was that was one of the questions that really propelled me forward, because I very much felt like, who am I to think I could have a podcast? Who am I to think I could write a blog? I mean, there really was a lot of self-doubt. And that was one of the questions that, it's kind of funny how you come across different things and you just know it's for you in that moment, because it's just dun, dun, dun. You just get that, oh my gosh, this is for me right now in this moment. And the other question was, what are you waiting for? So those kind of kept coming up, and I was like, oh, this is for me, this is for me. So I felt, if I want to speak into a place of helping other women feel comfortable and confident and courageous, because it does take courage to get there, then I have to do the thing. And it doesn't matter how it turns out. It doesn't matter. And that was that fear of failure, fear of success. I mean, that was right in there too. Okay, so what if it's a flop? Okay, well, I probably learned a lot of neat stuff, and I probably met some new people. And so how can that be a bad thing? I'll just now pivot, and I love the pivot. I'm now just going to take that pivot, and who knows what's next, but there will be something next, no matter what that is or what that looks like. So it's kind of like the stop looking at it as a failure, because I don't really believe in that anymore. But I had a fear of it.
Sure.
I for sure had a fear of it before I started. And it was like, you know what? And it's that worst case scenario. What's the worst case scenario? What if no one listens? Okay, no one listens.
No one does.
Well, all right, so what? You learned how to do a lot of stuff, and now there's a new thing I think I want to try, and now I'm going to pivot. So it's not a loss. It's just a change. So you got to do the sort of that mindset work and the reframing work of paying attention to what you say to yourself, and then also learning better ways to speak to yourself. And then when that fear comes, because it will, that's not gonna stop, but you really do learn to listen to it, look at it, see it for what it is. And, some of the different techniques and tricks they're not tricks, they're strategies of paying attention to how you speak to yourself and saying some new things to yourself so that it's like, okay, so I am going to do this. Wouldn't I want my daughters to try the thing? Or would I tell them, oh, no, just stay tight in the bud, Don't, oh, no. I would say, go, girl, blossom, bloom, see what happens. So why am I going to be different than what I want my daughters to be?
Or anyone, like
my sons, we've got sons too, but I'm speaking to it just a little more into women, because I think each sex has their own particular things that they deal with fear-wise, identity-wise, and all of that.
Well, I meant more that, like, I've sent messages of fear to myself or the inadequacy to myself that I wouldn't say to a total stranger. Like if someone I had never met before came up and said, I'm kind of scared to start a podcast, my first thought would be, well, what have you got to lose? Just give it a try and see what happens, right? Yes. But when it's me, I'm like, oh, no one's going to want to listen to, it's like the messages I send to myself are so much harsher than I would send to my daughters, to my friends, to a coaching client, or even to an absolute stranger. I would give them more credit than I give myself.
Right. Yes. And obviously there's something wrong with that. I mean, in the sense that that's not fair to you. So to recognize that you do that I do that a lot of women do that, and to say, whoa, wait a minute, I need to take my own advice. I need to model that for them. And it doesn't really matter how it turns out. I'm going to give it my all, and I will be better off for having tried than not having tried at all. And that's really key. It's the how would you feel if you don't try? That's just like that's an awful feeling, that regret. Well, I wonder what would have happened if right. No. Mm-mm.
Well, and I think sometimes we think that by waiting there will come this magical time where there isn't fear, that oh, if I just get more education, or if I get a little older, or maybe I'll do it after my kids are gone, or whatever thing we're putting out there. But like you were saying, you kind of morph straight from fear of one thing into fear of another thing. And then you think, you either think you're not experienced enough or you're too old by the time you have the experience. That's that magical no fear time is never coming.
No. I think it's important to recognize that too, as people, that you're never going to get rid of it. So let's just get rid of that thought altogether. You are going to have it. Let's learn to deal with it in a way that suits you better, that helps you in your own life show up the way you want to show up. It's like the person you are in real life tend to be very different from the person you are in your imagination. I like the idea of getting those closer to each other, aligning those a lot closer to one another.
And what do you think causes that? Like, how do we, because if you look at a 2-year-old, they're pretty close to who they really are. They're usually pretty out there with their desires, their wants, their feelings about things. You kind of usually know what a 2-year-old thinks about things.
Absolutely.
What happens? Like, how do we get there? And I think women in midlife are way separated, I think, sometimes between those two states. How do we get there?
I think, well, there are so many messages we get along the way. And that's interesting that you mentioned that, because been working on some coursework, and that's sort of one of the things I wanted to do was talk to women about, okay, let's think about children, and particularly the ages of 2, 3, 4, kind of before they get to school. Let's talk about, when you see them, what do you observe? And that, you're exactly right. They are fully themselves.
Yes,
they are fully themselves. If they want to hold your hand, they grab your hand. If they want something, they will say, I want this. There's something about that that's so inspiring if you really observe, and it's really beautiful. And I do think There are so many things that unfortunately really get in the way of us staying to staying a little more true to ourselves. I think it's, sometimes it's environment, and sometimes well-meaning parents might say things, friends, school, teachers. I mean, it just, the list goes on and on. I mean, and everybody well-meaning for the most part. There's always somebody who's not, but yeah, generally well-meaning. But I just see it as that kind of shrinking back to who we really are, and just kind of holding that here. And I don't like that image. I like the image of the flower blossoming, the flower blooming, kind of shrinking back and going back into the bud. I don't want that for myself, and I don't want that for anyone else. So if I can help speak into that by encouraging, and the podcast was really born from that place of having, first it started out as for women. It was women talking about, it was always unabashed you, but then the tagline was women talking about stuff. And that's kind of how it started. And then some men and, young men were telling me they were listening. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's good. Okay. So I kind of tooled it. You restructure a bit, and I was like, okay, I don't want this then if men are getting value from this. So it opened up, and then the tagline, become who you already are. Because I think, when you think about, and this could be true of all different kinds of things, but a quick example would be, when you were handed your first child, right? You're like, oh, I'm a mother, but you don't know what that is yet. You have been assigned that role, but think of all you have to do to become a mother. And it's still going, by the way, with all your kids.
Yeah.
It's not done.
But it morphs and it changes.
Yes.
You're never done becoming.
No, you're never done. And that's why I like the ing of things, because it's you never arrive. You're growing, working, processing, feeling, doing, being. I mean, it's all ing. And so you're still coming into the mother that you are to your 9 children. I want to keep, I love that number. It's just so incredible. But that, and you've got a different relationship. So you're becoming, it's still ongoing. You're not going to arrive. You haven't arrived, and you won't arrive. But I think that's the beauty of this life, is that we are ing the whole time. And what you do with your ings, I think is telling and important. And I just want to speak more encouragement. That's really my number one gift, is encouragement. I mean, I've taken all kinds of assessments, and that always comes in, whether it's through like teaching or administration or whatever gifts I end up with. It's the backbone of those is encouragement. I mean, and like you said, the stranger, like I will be in like, a restaurant or a coffee place, and just like, oh, let's say you're doing a great job. I noticed you're working really hard, or I can't help myself.
People so need to hear that. Like, it's really remarkable. I've been thinking that lately, when you have a positive thought about someone, to speak it, because it literally may have been weeks or months since anybody said anything positive to them at all.
Absolutely.
And that seems so hard to believe, but it's really true. A lot of people just do not get that positive message in their life. And even a stranger saying, I really appreciate you. You're working really hard. Thank you so much for that. It can make such a difference in how
it really can. It really can, because you don't know. And we say being seen is so important, and it is. Like you say, we don't know how much that person is being seen in their own life by all the people in their life. And I feel really grateful for the opportunity to be helpful, to serve. I love the idea of being of being in service to others. That's something that, when I go somewhere, I expect really good service. And that doesn't mean I want to be pampered or I want to be treated in like a VIP fashion, but I want eye contact. I want you to ask me, do I need anything else? And I will do the same. It was always a challenge to me, no matter what kind of job I've and I've had, plenty of jobs, obviously through your early part of your life, but then career wise, it's like, what else can I do to excel in this position of service? How else can I serve? So since I expect that of myself, I expect that of other people too.
See, I love that, because that kind of brings me to the other two questions on
Okay.
your website.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you doing?
You're doing about it? Right. I actually teach a workshop for women that where we dive right into, you can call it purpose and calling. There's all kinds of different ways to look at it, but it's basically, what do you have to give? And when you have that thing, and it's this is the challenge, is it's two words. It's two words. And so you have to think really hard, what are my two words going to be? And then, so when you have that thing to give, the passion that you're now, passion plus intention equals purpose. That's kind of how I like to say it.
Okay.
Why are you here? What is your passion? What is the thing you have to do? I mean, that's really, it's that simple. What's the thing you have to do? Once you can identify that, and by the way, it does not have to be this big, massive career that's so successful, and I'm an 8-figure coach and all that. That's not, gosh, there's so much of that out there. That's not what that means. It can be as simple as, in fact, I worked with a woman who volunteers once a week at a hospital to visit some of the believers there to give them communion if they'd like to have communion. And, we did a whole thing around that. So here she is doing something of service, and she's, it has purpose to it. And when she's doing that, what are people receiving? So it's a give and receive, purpose and calling that starts with your passion. And again, it can be, family oriented. It can be different. I mean, it's all kinds of things for all kinds of people. So yeah, why are you here? Why are you here? Why? I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people don't think about or look at.
Big question.
It's a big question.
Stop and
oh,
unpack
absolutely.
that, it's a huge question.
And that's your passion. And what are you doing about it? That's your purpose. You can't just, in my opinion, have those things and not do something about it. The whole idea of you being here is to identify why you're here and then what you're going to do about it. And again, it doesn't have to be scaled and this big, massive thing. If that's what you want, great. But right. It can be as simple as, every time I take a walk, this was something I did several years ago. I want to make eye contact with every person I walk past, every gardener, every co-walker, every person with a dog. I want to make eye contact and say, hey, good morning. How are you doing today? Or something. Mm-hmm. I just want that person. It was a simple thing, but I noticed a multitude of reactions that really reinforced my idea to do that, my choice to do that. And then, because I did have those moments of, oh my gosh, I don't think anybody has really seen this person yet today, or has reached out to say hello or whatever. It's really it's very moving. So again, it can be a very simple thing, or it can be, you can make it what you want it to be. But I do enjoy it very much because I've worked with women who are like writing books or starting businesses or doing these different things, and kind of getting started with the 2 words each. Kind of, it's really, you know how I like words, because I asked you what 3 words you'd use to describe yourself. I love words. I love words.
Words are powerful.
Words are very powerful. And I want to do a whole course just on words, because I do think they're so powerful. My thesaurus online is, that page is out every time I'm on my computer, every time, because I'll think, what does that mean again? And I'll look it up. Oh my gosh, that's right. It means this. Like confidence means belief in self, believing in yourself. I mean, that's powerful to understand what that means. So anyway, so that's, why are you here? What are you doing about it? Absolutely.
Because that's the next question. You get clear on those words are you doing anything?
Yes.
With
And
that?
then we come up with a whole, like personal a mission statement and practical steps and a timeline for those steps, and then being held accountable. And that's a big piece of what I do, is being held accountable, because I know, and I've taken a lot of courses, I'm sure you have too, and there's a lot of wonderful content out there. There really is. However, a lot of it is do it yourself. And there is a place for that. And I've gotten a lot of value out of the do it yourself courses, right? But I want to be there with a group of women and say, okay, so how did everybody do with that last deadline? And it's okay, by the way, if you didn't meet it, because this is not like that. This is not rigid. Life happens, or maybe you're caught up in a fear. Let's talk about it. And so what do you think held you back? But what did work for you? Or, to really be with them and unpack that. I mean, I've done this. I'm doing this. It's not that I've arrived. I have not. I do this myself. I'm doing this myself. So I want to come alongside and be there and say, okay, what are let's 3 more action steps and what's our next due date going to be? What's your next due date going to be? And then talking about which action steps did you decide on to get you closer to, this goal that's kind of out there, but oh my gosh, how do I get there? Okay, we're just going to, kind of chunk it, little steps, chunk, little steps. And then by the next thing, next thing you know, you're like, what? I've done that. Oh my gosh. I mean, it just feels so good. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming. You need and again, back to the accountability piece, just telling somebody else that you're going to do it, and and it's your timeline. It's not my timeline. Putting that out there, you're much more apt to actually follow through than if you just keep it to yourself. That's just science. That's just science.
Well, knowing you're going to need to report to somebody keeps it top of mind.
Right. And I would take out the word report and I would put share. See, I'm really weird when it comes
You're right.
to
I like that better.
Yeah, share. Because I don't like, no. It's not like that. It's like, okay, so share. You said you thought you'd get that done by June 1st. That didn't happen. Okay. So did you maybe make it too big? Was it too much? I mean, let's just kind of whittle that down to what happened. Why? And it's really all meant to learn from. It's not meant to be, you didn't do it by the time. No, it's not like that. It's like we just do better. And I think especially as women, we do better in groups with each other. Again, I like it to do it yourselves. I am going to create some do it yourself kind of stuff, but I really am looking to work with women, because I think that's where my strength is going to lie, or to continue to work with women. I've done, like I said, I've done a lot of workshops, and we're doing a mastermind right now on passion and purpose, but I want to roll it out further outside of people I know and are in my sphere, and get it farther out. And you know what? I have to. I don't know how to explain it, except that I have to. It's in me, and I explained to my husband, I'm bursting at the seams. I'm just bursting at the seams. So that is one of the ways you find out your passion. The thing you have, like, I had to do a podcast. I had to do it. I had to write a blog. And so I've got this next thing, and I have to do it.
Well, and I feel like going through this process that you're talking about, you probably find with people you work with and for yourself that it starts to bit by bit completely redefine your entire vision of what success looks like.
100%. Yes, absolutely.
Living from that passion place.
Right, because you reach these milestones and you feel good, and you can consider that a success. You can, celebrate that you're at that one place, and then it gives you kind of momentum to keep going. And there are so many things we really should consider a success, and not only define it in terms of numbers. And by numbers, I mean numbers of clients, numbers of money, numbers of downloads, numbers of reviews. I mean, Yes, there's a little place for that, but I want to keep it little. I
Yeah.
don't want to keep it the end all be all. It just isn't for me. For me.
Yeah, because sometimes that aspect of the vanity numbers and things can start to drive the train instead of the passion leading.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
show. And that can, it's difficult sometimes because we live in a society that celebrates those other
The
things,
numbers, yes.
and it's hard for us sometimes to remember that we can be extraordinarily successful without those are just an outward sign they're nice,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
necessary.
Right. Yeah, I would call it maybe the I wouldn't even say it's the frosting. I wouldn't even say it's the frosting. It's maybe a couple decorations on
The
the
sprinkles,
cake.
I like that.
Yeah, the sprinkles, because you don't have to have sprinkles. You got to have the cake and you got to have the frosting.
Right.
You don't have to have the sprinkles.
So I do have one more question for you, but before
Sure.
I ask you that, tell everybody where to find you. How do people connect with you?
Well, unabashed you. So unabashed there. I mean, we started out calling it unabashed, and we did know at that time we weren't saying it absolutely correctly, and I was okay with that artistic license. So either one is acceptable. And really that's the way to find us everywhere. Facebook, Instagram. We have a lovely updated website. I finally had someone update it for me. I was a one woman everything, and I was like, okay, I'll have someone freshen it up. So unabashedyou.com, on Instagram, unabashedyou, Facebook, unabashedyou, Gmail, unabashedyou@gmail.com. I mean, it's just, unabashed you.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so my last question for you.
Oh, yes, I can't wait.
I love on your website how you say that you like to talk to and teach extraordinary, but how do you put it? Extraordinary everyday people.
Yes, here's the thing with that. I love this question. I love this question because if I really think about who I'm talking to non-famous, non-celebrity. I don't like the word average because I don't think anybody's average. I don't want to say normal, right? I don't want to say ordinary.
Yeah.
Ordinary. I mean, all those words are awful to me. They are awful. So I finally, I think it was sometime this year, I went, well, I feel like every conversation I have is extraordinary. And the best I could come up with is everyday people. And I usually say like you and me, because we're not celebrities, we're not famous. And I think there is so much value in having conversations with other people because I don't just believe this, I know every person has a story and every person has multiple chapters within that story. So I could never run out of people. That's for starters.
Right, exactly.
Secondly, I'm starting now to have certain people back on like, hey, what are you up to now? What's going on? Because it's a different chapter. Mm-hmm. It's a different chapter. It's a different conversation. And I can never run out. It's just not possible. And I think it is so inspiring to me to have conversations with people that don't fit kind of that. They've got a publicist, they've got, somebody else does all their stuff or whatever. No, we're the people out here doing the stuff ourselves. Not that there's anything wrong with having a team, but we are what would you call it? Not the bread and butter, but I don't even know. See, that's the thing. That's why I came up with extraordinary every day, because I don't think there's a good word yet for what we are. We are, the bulk of people. We are the body of the people.
Well, and to be honest, even those celebrities behind the scenes with their friends and family, they are too.
Right. Yeah.
People,
right.
people. And that's just an image.
Right.
That's just
that's true.
image.
That's such a good point. Yes, absolutely.
Person. And the reason I love that so much is because the overarching, I guess, theme of this podcast is how to live a passion-filled, joyful life. And I think what
Yes.
holds people back sometimes is thinking, well, I'm just an ordinary person. Like that's for
Yes.
special people. That's for super talented people. That's for
No.
those people over there. And I'm just a regular
Mm-mm.
person. So I can't do
Mm-mm.
that.
I
But
don't
you're
even like
saying,
regular. Yeah,
yeah,
there's just,
that
yeah.
you're extraordinary. I love
Yes,
that
each
word.
person is extraordinary. Each person extraordinary. Yes, I believe that. I absolutely believe that. Even if they don't know
Yeah.
they're extraordinary, I believe and know that they are.
And I love, love, love that. And I would like to end on that because that's such a powerful
Yes,
concept to let kind of simmer and sit, that everybody is extraordinary and has the
absolutely. And
right to
I'm,
a
yeah.
joy-filled life.
I love what you're doing too, because it's very complimentary. And I mean, we're speaking into the space the same sorts of, and they're more than ideas.
Yeah.
They are, well, I don't even know if truth's the right word, but they are a way to live that we want people to live by, so that they can really capture and choose the best out of this life for themselves.
Absolutely. And like you began with, your understanding of these ways of thinking and ways of being came from pain initially. And so
Absolutely.
did mine. It came
Yes.
from very hard things. And so I feel like when you have found ways out, or found, like, you're never finished, it's not like there's no pain anymore, but when you have
Right.
relearned different ways to think, you just want to go out and share that with other people.
That's absolutely true. And I think I put a quote on it, maybe it was last week or the week before: bitter or better, it's your
Yes,
choice.
I
Yeah.
saw
I
that
mean,
on
you can get to the fork and decide, oh, I'm just going to stay here and think about it and talk about it and be in it and be in it and be in it. Or you can, what did I learn here? And that neither one of those negates the step that you must do, which is being in it. You
Right.
have to be in it, fully in it, feel the feels, or however you want to look at it. You just can't stay there. It's not healthy to stay there. And in my case, the loss of a son, my son does not want me to stay there. He wants me to continue on with my life and to love and to laugh and to live fully. He wants that for me. He doesn't want me to go to that bitter road and just stay there and wallow missing him. No.
And that's that ing. Just
Ing.
remembering that you're an ing, that
Ing.
you're not here, you're not going there, you're
Ing.
You're
Yeah.
ing. You're on a
Yeah, you're
process.
ing.
I love that. Well, Rechelle, thank you
Thank you,
so,
Laura.
so much for being my guest today. I
It's
love
my
talking with
pleasure.
you, and I love your Instagram. I would encourage everybody to go out and find her website and her Instagram page, because she's so
Thank you.
inspiring to me, and I know she
Oh.
will be to everybody else.
Likewise, Laura. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on the Joyfulicity podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and share, and come follow me on all major social media sites at Joyfulicity, or on my website, joyfulicity.com. You can follow the link in the description for this episode to all of the places that we can connect. Have a great day, everybody, and remember, dare to dream, plan to play, live to learn.